Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast, My Hero Academia edition. Today, it is our first episode about season 7, episodes 1 through 4. We have the My Hero enthusiast with us, Miss Andrea Alanese. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I am doing great today. I am so excited. I just rewatched all 4 episodes in their entirety today, and it just made me that much more excited to talk about them all over again.
And making his debut on the My Hero Academia podcast for the first time ever, the captain, Mr. Byron Mitchell. Welcome to the My Hero pod.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You know, this is actually, again, Byron's first time on a My Hero pod, which means that these first 4 episodes have warranted something that Byron wants to come on and talk about.
Yeah, like I saw that first episode, I was like, yeah, I gotta get on a My Hero pod this season, whether it's the first episode, the last episode. I don't care. I just gotta hop on because
Whenever, more than welcome, always more than welcome.
Yeah, because the start of this season was, whew.
And then also, I was talking about this, Byron, I'm pretty sure this is the first time you two have done a podcast together, just the two of you.
Yeah,
We've done like the Valentine's Day ones, but this is our like first partnership.
Yep.
But before we talk about season 7 and the episodes and all that, do you want to address something that's happened way before today, obviously. Talk to Andrea about this when it happened. So, Byron, you're going to find out in real time. I don't know if you saw it one day. So, it was a couple of weeks ago, around May 5th. Deku Midoriya was trending. Thought it was about the episode. It wasn't. So, Byron, you have been to big anime comic conventions and all of that. You have sat through some Q&A panels and you have seen some people who ask questions aren't really all there.
Yeah.
But this one made real headways because at a Comic-Con, Justin, aka the voice actor from Midoriya in English, he was asked by this fan who I don't know what their intentions were, basically asking and hounding him about like how does he feel about a Eri and Deku relationship. Obviously for people who don't know, I guess anime slang,
Byron,
a ship is what we call it in the anime world, but
this is not a ship. We do not get to dignify it as such. Like I know that's
lady,
the practice,
we gotta
but
call
like
it what the lady was calling it though. She was calling it a ship.
No.
That was her quote things, and then Justin had to go to Twitter and he had to say, I'm not indicting any fandoms. I'm parallel at large. In general, you're very considerate and have a lot of fun together. Certainly no stranger to the internet. The fandom space is yours. Involving myself in it is at best uncomfortable and at worst very inappropriate. Kindly stop asking me about ships at my panels. It's none of my business and it's officially gone too far. That is the English star of My Hero Academia season 7. And you see some of the tweets from fans talking about oh, imagine that. I'm shocked the shipping community would be causing problems at conventions. I hope this person like I hope I'm running that girl tomorrow. Listen, I don't mind ships, but asking VAs about it so awkward and rude. I thought it was an unwritten rule. You don't bring that stuff up at voice actors at showrunners. The fact that Justin had tweeted is sad, and it really hampered up the My Hero Academia fandom hate because My Hero Academia, or as great as the show is, the fandom is one of the most hated fandoms of this new generation.
Yep.
And that lady who asked it, I don't even think is a My Hero fan from the video I saw. So really just causing to either get that 15 seconds of fame or she was trying to prove a point about the fandom being so terrible. So, Byron, what's your initial reaction to hearing this for the first time?
First off, what the fuck? Where is what, like 7?
Something like that. 7, 8.
7, 5 through 8.
And then
Single
Deku's
digits.
a teenager.
Point blank period.
That's just disgusting. First off, that's to ship a teenager and a little girl is just wild. If she's a true MHA fan, she should be ashamed of herself. Even just as an anime fan, she should be ashamed of herself. That is wild to ask something like that at an anime convention when people are just trying to go there, get Justin's thoughts on, season 6, season 7. Just to ask that, it's just, ugh, leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Andrea.
I mean, same. Since this is not the first time I'm hearing it, I'm also now having the reaction of like, well, does this lady like actually think this is normal? Does she actually think this is okay? Because like then that opens up a whole other can of worms of like, what the actual fuck? And I will totally admit, even upon like first hearing about the story, I've never tried to ask a question during a panel. When I did meet a couple voice actors, I didn't ask about shipping. I didn't know it was a general understood rule that you don't, because I've seen like interviews, like official interviews where people will ask like, oh, what are your thoughts on like, so and so and so and so getting together at the end of the show? And I don't know, I guess I didn't see it as being like rude flat out, but normally those ships are actually viable and or age appropriate, or at least much more age appropriate, because I mean we do get into the whole anime trope of somebody who's an excessive amount of years old but they look like a child, or somebody's their teacher and they're in high school. Like that's common in anime, unfortunately. But come on, like, ew, like he'd be a freshman, sophomore in high school, and at most an 8-year-old, at least half his age.
Right now she's 7 currently.
Okay.
Birthday, because she was 6 when she first appeared, 7 currently in the manga, because that's the most recent. And then Midoriya is currently 16.
Yeah.
Like he was 14. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. He was 14 at chapters 1 and 2, 15 in chapters 3 final exam, and he's been 16 since the forest training arc. So he's technically jumped 2 years since being debuted.
Yeah.
So he's almost 10 years older than her.
It's minimum twice her age, as well as just like thinking about it. Like I have parents with a wide like age difference. They met as adults, so like it's not a thing. But even when I was younger, it's like, wait, doing that math. Hey, Dad, when you were 18, Mom was 9. Again, they didn't know each other at that point in time, obviously, but a 9-year age gap can be weird. And just running that back in numbers. So oh my God, just a freshman, sophomore in high school having a crush on a 7-year-old, and people like making that like oh my gosh, Ari, when you grow up, you and Decker are gonna be such a great couple or whatever. Because if they do try to make it like, oh, once she's 18, then they'll get together. Ew, just ew. And for Justin to be put in that position, I didn't see a video. I don't know if there is one.
I think it's been
deleted.
But I do.
Okay. I wonder how the moderator handled that, if they immediately jumped in or if this lady it sounded like she kept pushing it. And I'm sure that whole crowd probably just went dead silent, pin drop, like it. And then from then on, like it's just going to be an uncomfortable environment. It spoils the whole thing.
No, agreed. At the beginning of the year, we had a basically almost a what to expect at your first big con and what you should do and etiquette and all that stuff. Definitely going to tag it to this video. But Byron, I brought this up with Andrea. What if Justin gets to a point where he's like, if they keep asking him these stuff at these panels, what if he doesn't do the panels? But then that looks bad that the English voice of the new generation isn't doing panels.
It would look bad on him, but like, I would understand because like no one wants to answer those types of questions at anime convention.
But would Toei understand?
No, they wouldn't understand at all. But because they're all about their money. But
exactly,
as a fan, I would understand. And then it just would make the MHA fandom just look terrible. Like, oh,
I mean, it's just
Justin's
it
not
makes
coming to anime conventions because you guys don't know how to act
act
appropriately.
right.
And it won't stop at him because I mean, if that fan continues to go to stuff, they'll ask Bakugo's voice actor. They'll just keep going down, and then if My Hero goes and is like, oh, we're not gonna do convention. Then Toei Crunch, they're gonna be like, oh no no no, oh
You
no.
don't get to pull that. Yeah, you don't get to pull that, which is wild because again, it's if this lady really isn't a fan or is a fan and just wanted to fuck shit up, essentially you get to the point where what was that video? The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
Mhm.
Like, come on. Like, yeah, it'd be disappointing in the sense that if it came to the point where any of the voice actors said like because of inappropriate behavior, we're not going to continue to do this. It'd be disappointing for the fans that are appropriate and are respectful. And it now just dawned on me, kind of reminds me of the news about is it the Kyoto district in Japan that they're shutting down entrance to that area to all tourists because there are tourists that run up to the geisha, get in their faces, try to touch them and things like because they can't behave. And people feel like since I've paid money to get here, this is a once in a lifetime experience or this is my only chance. They take things too far.
Yep, Japan limits tourists in Kyoto area instead of Mount Fuji barrier. This just happened 2 months ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember reading about that too. That's wild.
And Andrew, you just hit the nail. People just don't know how to act. And I know that the anime fandom, there's a wide range of people who are types of fans. Like, I don't want to just say normal people, but they're just your run of the mill average person. There's a lot of people who may have learning disabilities, all of that stuff, like anything in the fandom. But it's like, if you were doing this just to prove a point that the My Hero fans are terrible, or like, I, I don't know what you gain from that besides maybe you get your clicks, yada yada yada. But it's like,
but did any of those articles actually have that lady's name? Like,
nah,
I know you would know it was you, but at the same time, if you really want that like 15 minutes of fame, that little like viral moment, it would need to be attributed to you, unless you're just going to come out later and claim that credit. But obviously, like the news and shit is not picking this up. So
no. Like, she could tag herself in those videos, which she probably did, and all that stuff. But I just think it's bad, man, because My Hero, like, they get killed on social media all the time. And for the longest time, I'm like, why? Like, I'm just sitting here like, what are we doing? Like, especially, they were still getting killed during the summer. I was like, they just had their, like, most successful season ever that's getting nominated for awards in America. Like, why are they getting like every time I'm just like these stupid MMA like I'm like what did they do? And then this one time I'm like, oh god. And then this one everyone starts pouring in on them.
I remember when I first started seeing the like My Hero stuff on Instagram and just seeing to me, I thought we were catching strays. It was like, wait, what is happening? What is going on? And then, I mean, I was aware of the ick that is the pairing of Deku and Eri. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. A lot of fandoms, unfortunately, do have that I'll say submersive, I guess, group that enjoys inappropriate pairings. But it just seems like, I feel so bad for Justin. I do. And I really hope this is a boundary that's going to be respected because I know when I was at the My Hero panel for, it was called, was it Anime Fest? Riverwalk Anime, excuse me.
Yep.
The first annual that happened last April 2023. I mean, Bakugo's voice actor during the panel even mentioned like, hey, because I think somebody asked them a question similar to like, hey, is there anything, you wish people would stop asking you or anything like that? And I mean, he wasn't jumping on it in the sense that he was excited to say it, but he basically mentioned like, hey, my voice is my career, my job. I can't always be, putting on the Bakugo voice and
That's what Zenitsu
saying,
and Nezuko said at GalaxyCon.
mm-hmm,
And
keep
then of course you still have the
saying the
people
same stuff
anyway.
over and over. Every time somebody comes up to me and wants an autograph, like I can't do it. Like, protect myself and my voice, like I can't do that. He did it during the panel, I think maybe once or twice, but that was it. And then I stood in line after that to meet him, get his autograph. And I think there was a couple people ahead of me that tried to ask him.
Yeah,
Obviously, I don't believe they were in the panel, because I think it was a little kid and his mom. But I mean, he was really like, is it graceful? That graceful about it, in the sense of like, hey, I can't do that, but that was one of my favorite lines to say. Or like, he just sidestepped it really well. And when it's coming from a good place, I'm sure the voice actors understand, especially when it's like a little kid. But people that get agitated or feel like they have the right to, oh, well, I, paid for, this video with you and this is what I want. That's when it starts to ruin it for everybody else.
No, I agree. And then Byron, I don't know if you know, like Midoriya. I mean, Justin, he's the same age as us.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
Technically we all could have been in school. He's like 31, 32, 30.
Wow.
Like he's I'll get you because I remember looking it up, and technically if everyone was in like the same area, we all could have went to, yeah, like it's so that's another thing too. I'm just like, technically this is like our person, like our generation's person, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like,
and it's early in his career still, because he is so young. And I mean, some of the other voice actors that are there have been doing this for 20, 30 years. So Justin's potentially got a much longer career, could be voicing some other really big characters down the line, just like some of the more veteran voice actors do for the newer series. Like, and we wouldn't necessarily want to push him to the point of burning out and never wanting to start doing this again, or take a break for 10 years because people are just awful
idiots.
Right.
And this was his big break. Like, this was his break. Like, this is what he was known for. And yeah, August 23rd, 1991.
He's a year younger than I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
I would have guessed he was younger, honestly. Like, seeing him, I don't know why I think it's partially the voice, that type that he has. It just does sound really young.
And then I would say, with him doing so well as Midoriya, I mean, it opened up another big one that people don't know. He's the English voice actor for Yu Jin Ho, the main character for Solo Leveling.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
If you hit on your first one, and his first one is as big as My Hero, other things open up.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at his IMDb, like, he's also the voice of, in the TV series, Byron, for Final Fantasy VII Machina Abridged. He is Cloud.
Wow.
Hey,
okay.
I'm telling you, My Hero opened it up for him, man, and like he could be like when we think about like us, and like when we're like Sean Shemelin, Christopher Sabath, like Dan Green, he could be these little kids as Dan Green, Christopher Sabath, and Sean.
Yeah.
Like, people fathom that the voice of Vegeta is the voice of All Might and the voice of Zora and like all these crazy shit. Like, like he could be on that trajectory, but if people ruin it, and like, especially now with like mental health, and you just like F it, even though I don't think I don't think they're just gonna be like, nah, they're gonna hit him with, you're done when we say you're done.
Right.
But nah, I just want the fandom. You guys need to relax. Just take it easy. Like, we're on, My Hero's on a real good high these past couple years. Like, you're in your 7th season. You're about to have your 4th movie. There's no reason people should say that you have the worst fandom of the new generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want that label.
No, not at all.
It's just, it seems to have stuck, and I think it's going to stick unless there's some like massive changes, or And honestly, I hope this doesn't happen. It's that some other fandom comes out and is just that much worse. And if that's the case, that's really freaking scary.
It's terrible because I've noticed it when season 4 happened and people were trying to downplay. I'm like, what are we doing here? Now you just sound like a hater because
Right.
because they're like, oh, Midoriya and Overhaul did deserve best fight of the year. I'm like, oh, here we go. People just hating, man, because they hate the
Really good
fans.
fight.
They hate the
True.
fans.
I
But
get it, but come on. You gotta take the
Show some
media for
respect,
what
right?
it
Put
is.
some respect on the name, right?
not
For
when people
sure.
hate it. Not when people haters are haters.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's talk about these first 4 episodes. I didn't know how season 7, like the very first episode, was gonna start. They didn't wait at all. The
No.
first 4
Nope.
episodes, they did not wait. There was no, little build up. Like you went explosion, boom, boom,
Yes.
yeah, right from the start.
Yeah.
They're really split up into 2 things. So let's talk about episode 1 and 2 of season 7, which are episode 139 and 140 of
Do
My
you think
Hero.
My Hero will reach 200? I think it's probably going to stop about 175. What do you think? 180.
I think 175 would be like if I was putting money on it, I think that's a good range.
I can see 175.
Because right now,
they're on 144. So yeah,
that would be
31
143. 143 would be this Saturday.
Oh, 143 is this Saturday. Okay.
And this season's supposed to be 21 episodes. So this is the 5th episode. So add 16 to 143.
159.
Yeah. So, they should clear 175. But
Hopefully.
they
I
just
hope so.
finished.
But there was speculation before we had this, little recap, whether or not season 7 would be the final season. So it's like, well, we still technically need an answer to that. Technically.
They just finished the final fight in the manga. Like I saw that, and I was telling Byron that final fight, like from when they started the heroes versus villains, that was 2 years worth of manga.
See, based on that, I don't think season 7's the last season. I feel like they get a season 8.
We'll see, man.
Based on if their final fight was 2.5 years, that's a lot to pack in.
But you're doing like 4
episodes.
to 6 mangas in an episode, though.
True.
That's true. That's true.
But let's talk about it. So obviously, at the end of season 6, starting the stripe, Master is in trouble. So I'm gonna come. Byron, have you seen any of the My Hero movies?
I've seen the first one.
Okay, so that Kathleen's the girl that he saved when he was younger. Okay,
in the car, yeah.
And that's also for the clowns who I don't know thought the movies weren't canon, which they are, but
they are.
Love to see it.
Love it.
She pulls up, and like the little top 3 heroes are on there doing traffic laws, trying to catch up. Shigaraki doesn't care. Like he pulls up on her, and they start fighting in the first 6 minutes of the episode.
It was wild. It was literally wild.
Was not expecting.
Dude, I spat my water out. I was like, aren't you supposed to be in a tube trying to get to 100%? He said, fuck it. We need to, I'm about to tell things girl out now.
I was like, yeah, no, but seriously. Because, All For One was literally like, this is kind of a gamble, but if we win, fuck yeah. If we lose, meh. So it was like, he even knew it was like a semi-risky move. And I was actually surprised that he would even go for it. To me, I was fully expecting, Star and Stripe. They were showing her on the jets. Like, okay, cool, nice shot. Cut to her meeting with All Might after she lands, Top Gun style, walking off the planes and shit. No, they said, "Fuck that. We roll out now."
It was crazy, like how he put up on a flying Nomu like it was a freaking Pokemon.
And
Charizard.
Out broad daylight. It wasn't even an ambush. He was chilling right there, plain view.
It was ridiculous. And the fact that Endeavor, Hawks, and Blue Genius were literally on the side, can you cut Like, how do we have this high tech car and we don't got like fighter jet on it? Like, why are we
Right.
still driving on the road?
I'm also wondering, Endeavor, you're fucking flying. Just, take a left or a right or whatever fucking direction she was in. Like, she couldn't have been far. They literally said she was 3 minutes out.
Right.
Like,
That is one of my I guess, gripes about this episode. Like, Endeavor, you can fly. Why are you flying parallel the fucking highway? Make a left. Oh, help her!
And Hawks has his feathers back.
Yeah, he can fly too. He can fly
The only
too.
one I excuse is Best Genius because he was driving a car. I don't know if it has wings, but the man did have a plane in season 6. So where's your plane at?
Oh, plane's only for Gigantomachia, apparently.
So, but real quick before we get, because those are really what the first 2 episodes about. But like, there was something very interesting at the beginning when All for One was talking to Spinner about like Spinner being like that face of the army because he has one of those things. He doesn't look like a human.
Right.
So like he represents the oppressed, just like that one lady who was getting abused who doesn't look like a human.
Lady.
Yeah, that rabbit, yeah.
So and that was a very powerful like scene for me because you saw all these other people who have quirks who don't look like humans who probably get abused and discriminated, seeing like this guy be the new face of it, and they might be like the signature thing. This person looks just like me. I should join him. And then you got the clown dude. He's not a clown, but Spectic, still alive in his little basement, typing up
incel master level
libertation like front members and league, like as a rallying thing. I'm like, how are we still going? But I found those things very powerful. Like,
yes, all the imagery of like Spinner standing there and all those people that kind of roll up on his poster just popping up. Yeah, it was extremely powerful, and to me it was sombering as well because it's like, damn, there's a lot of this sentiment. It's pervasive, it's ingrained, which is I think part of one of the major problems within the My Hero. Well, I'll say just Japan because we don't necessarily know how it is everywhere else, but they're making it a point that in Japan there's that undercurrent of ostracization for that group.
So what do you guys think of New Order?
That quirk is OP. First off, how do you know that you have that quirk? Like, how do you... That's what I want to know. I need a backstory of how she figured out how, this is my quirk. I can basically
I can just make shit up. I can touch shit and make it real. She was probably just fucking playing imaginary friends or some shit. Like,
can you imagine?
With her dolls. Like, imagine just with her dolls, like her freaking Barbie dolls or action figures, whatever the fuck. And it's just like, oh. Yeah, but I can't even think right now. Her creativity is off the charts to be able to use the quirk as well as she was. But essentially, I figured that's got to be it. That she's like, oh, you can fly now. And the doll just starts fucking flying.
Probably.
Right.
Like,
and then the government got her, trained her, and all that stuff. But there was another scene, because always try to relate stuff to previous podcasts, where she was on top of Shigaraki. Internet was going crazy on that scene, saying, hitting Shigaraki with the ungrateful bastard. I wish that was me. Memes, like everyone was going crazy on that. I
for the muscle mommy, of course.
Yep, I see it all. But she brought up All Might, and then he's like, and then Shigaraki's like, why is it always All Might? And then she's like, bro, he's the symbol of peace. Like, what do you expect?
Of course, it's always gonna be him.
And then he just gets hot, like, because that man, All Might being the symbol of peace, one of our best case study ones on the L7C with Andrea and myself. Like, did it do more? I mean, it produced Stars and Stripes because she got so obviously with that, but. We thought, if you were just watching it, obviously, we thought we had him. We said his name, Shigaraki. But, of course, because he's the main villain, and she's not the main hero.
I call plot armor so hard on that, and I understand it, but, like, the fuck? Really?
Because he didn't know his true self. Because he was battling with him and All for One.
And his little 5-year-old self.
Yeah.
Hey, but I mean, technically, if you're called a whole bunch of different names by someone with that would technically New Order not work on you?
Right, and in the logic that he does like post the situation, it makes sense because like even when he brought up the dog, like, well, you have a pet, you call them by the name you've given them, but does
Mhm.
the pet actually know themselves as that name?
Mhm.
We don't know. So like technically we don't know if New Order would have worked on a live animal or anything like that, but I was very annoyed. I was very upset. I was extremely upset. I was just like, of fucking course. Like, obviously, it's not the final battle. He's not fighting Midoriya, so he couldn't actually die. I just felt like it should have been something else. Like,
Well, when that didn't work, we just started shooting out missiles and lasers, and
yep,
we made Stars and Stripes Susanoo
Yes.
yeah.
out of air
Oh,
in
that was
episode
so
2.
great.
The missiles were called Timites, but
Tiamat.
Yep, TMS. Thank you. But that fight continues into the second episode, and
Hmm.
like you just see like her holding like that thing with like all the energy like pointing down
The
on him.
lasers, the grouped up laser. In
Mhm.
my head, it's like a spear, but I know it's technically not. But
It's a
whatever.
laser. It's a laser spear.
No, and
Thank you.
then again, another thing, if you're watching, you're just like, he's not gonna be able to generate that. We got him.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
then this man says he decayed underneath the ocean or whatever to avoid the stuff and had the pneumo taking the hit.
Yeah, he did basically substitution jutsu, the Nomu.
Pretty
He
much.
really did. Oh my god, Byron. Yes.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And he touched Star's face, and we were like, oh, brother.
Yep.
It's like,
Endeavor and them are
damn.
still on 71 South. Like, just
Still flying parallel.
just still
Caught up
chilling.
in traffic.
Not
Can't
calling any
move.
other
Also,
heroes.
another thing, right? They saw the explosion, yet Endeavor is still flying parallel, not going towards the explosion. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. And for me, that the whole thing of, okay, she's 3 minutes to landing. She's so close. You're obviously hearing all of this in the vicinity. Did that fight really happen in the span of only like, what, 90 seconds for it to be over that fast and you guys couldn't get over there?
No.
What? Did y'all just assume since she's the number one hero from the United States and now assumedly would be number one in the world? Because there's no way Endeavor's beating her ass. Like, let's be real. Um, y'all just figured she's got this shit and just let her. No, you guys.
I agree. I agree. And when she got touched, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take New Order," and we're just like, "Well, this is over. This
Yep.
Oh
is
yeah,
bad."
like I was like, yeah,
Everybody's
it's
like,
over
what?
for the heroes. We're fucked.
He already has 10 billion quirks, but then she's like, in her last breath, she's like, "Oh, I actually put a last thing for New Order. Basically
Mhm.
to tear you up from the inside."
Said,
And then,
fuck you, bitch.
and then you see like her like essence just tearing all the
Tearing
different
Quirks
quirks, and
apart.
like
It was
he's
Yep.
blown up.
beautiful.
It was cool. Then she like you have her saluting, think of all of that. And I'm gonna ask a question after this, but then we go through all that stuff. Obviously her pilots, her day ones, they're crying, they're sad
Her
because
bros.
they just saw her die. And then All Might finds out. All Might calls her, first name basis, Cassie, and
Mm.
they said like, yeah, based on it, she gave you guys an extra week. And I was just like, well, that's
Something.
crazy. But the real question with this stuff, I'm gonna throw it to Andrea first because you are a woman,
Yay.
and this is this was a big one after these episodes for us anime only people. Obviously, the manga people already knew this was happening, but
Right.
once the anime people got a hold of it, like anime only watchers, they saw whole things. Do you feel as a woman seeing the most powerful woman in My Hero's history die in the first 2 episodes, do you feel slighted?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of do.
Okay.
I kind of do. I understand with everything being put in place the way that it was, it makes sense. But He did not have to bring her into the sky and have to have Tomura confront her before she fucking landed. She should have been boots on the ground, at least for a meeting a day before Shigaraki or All for One sends Shigaraki or whatever the fuck he's called at this point. It to fight her in some sort of surprise attack while she's doing maneuvers or just whatever. Just so we could have had more time. But I mean, even the time that she did have, though, was extremely impactful and was very well rounded. I really appreciated the nuance in the way that they did her character to still be, because some of the critiques around like muscle mommies in general is the whole idea of like, oh, well, you're so muscular, like you try to make him come across as a man, but she was still feminine, a feminine character, but she was still strong. And being able to do both of those things in a not overtly sexual way, like Tsunade from Naruto, was really cool and really powerful. I feel a little bit slighted in the sense that we didn't get to have her, on our side longer. And I would have liked to have seen some of the other, like, just, rules that she keeps handy all the time.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, that quirk, it's not unlimited since she can only have 2 rules going at once, but she definitely has a lot of preset rules that she uses and is comfortable with. And I wish we could have seen more of them. Because this is the only time we've ever seen her fight.
Yeah,
That's it.
and the only time. So a lot of things I saw when this episode happened, Brian, definitely is one, the fact that, like I already said, strongest woman we'll ever see in this show, and probably past, probably one of the strongest women we've seen in anime shows of late. Like at all anime mediums, is probably one of the strongest. But also, like the underlying thing before she died, where they were just like, don't ever say just because you're a girl you can't do this or can't do that. So then you have that super important message, and then she dies.
Yeah.
I know that pissed a lot of people off, and then the fact that she didn't get to actually see All Might, never got to meet Midoriya, like stuff like that. I know that really pissed a lot of people off, but the woman, like that thing really set people ablaze. No quote unquote intended. Byron, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think she definitely should have had more airtime. Like, especially if they were going to eventually kill her off. Like, I think it would have been a more emotional death for her if she was in like maybe 5 or 6 episodes. You really got to know her character, have her meeting with All Might, Deku, um, just sharing, her fandom about All Might with Deku. I think would have been nice. And then when you eventually kill her off, you get that big emotional moment with the heroes. But
my thing,
I understand like why they did it because her work is OP, but they're like Andrea said, there are limits. But she definitely should have had more airtime, especially with her backstory. Of, oh, All Might saved me when we were younger. Definitely should have had more airtime in the show.
I think it would have been better if they just would have repeated season 4, like with Lemillion and Deku versus Overhaul. Like Lemillion had the first crack at Overhaul. Lemillion was beating Overhaul. I mean, Lemillion was beating Overhaul's ass. Would have beat Overhaul if it wasn't for the quirk stealing bullet. Still took the bullet, was still doing all this shit, still fighting and making sure Aerie didn't get touched once. Then the main character comes in. We have the 100% battle fight of the year. They could have done the same thing right before the final battle. Stars and Stripes were like, because they made this bullshit plan. How are we going to get them? 10, whatever. We're going to talk about that. There could have been like, Stars and Stripes could be like, oh, they're going to come for me because they want my quirk before they want Midoriya's. They'll have me fight
Which
them
to me,
one-on-one.
honestly, was a bit of a shock because obviously when they first kind of introduce it and it's happening, that's when All for One is like, no. One for All is a mid-range goal. The main goal was New Order. I was like, oh shit, that was news to me. Like I was sitting there like, oh fuck, and then it was
like she could have had the final battle before the final battle.
She could have,
and that would have kept her in. And I feel like she would have hit Omega fandom because now, like when she passed, people are more pissed than happy.
All right.
Or sad, yeah.
Or sad. So they get an extra week. The people get to train. But then again, I just it's
Can I
kind of
also just say
crazy.
I would have loved to have seen her interactions with like Bakugo because I'm sure she would have met the whole
Oh, she would have
class.
met them all.
Mhm.
I
Fuck.
feel like her interactions with Bakugo would have been hilarious.
I want to know. I guess we said Midoriya and all that, and we're talking about women. I want to know what it would have been like if she interacted with the women of Class 1A.
Yep,
Oh yeah.
that was
For
my next
Andrea,
Yeah.
thought.
your thing,
Yep,
that Stars and Stripe could have been the one who pushed Momo over the edge
Mm-hmm.
and like finally gave her that kick. Like
yep.
that was more. She could have been the one,
Mm-hmm.
and she could have trained all those girls and be like, "Look, I know you got powerhouse dudes like Midoriya. I've already read about him, Bakugo, Todoroki. But again, just because you're a girl don't mean you got to be behind them. You could be just as
Mm-hmm.
strong, if not stronger. Look at
Right.
me, like."
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And you
now
don't even have to match it the physically because I mean their big point that she was getting on herself in the sense that like she can't new order herself to be as physically strong as All Might to like beef up her physical strength and all of that stuff to be like All Might. And she was getting down on herself about that. And it was for me. It was also really touching that it was the guys, her bros, to tell her like, so what? Like you have your own strengths. It's not because you're a woman. It's his
you
quirk is
keep
what it
comparing
is. Your
yourself
quirk
to
is
the
just
best
what it
ever.
is. It's
Yeah.
not it's not like that.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really, really great. And it was done in such a way that it wasn't condescending or like that they know it all or that she's being silly. It was just point blank, matter of fact, like, yo, you're amazing as you are.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing as he is. You're the only one that's going to get close. And one day you're going to surpass him. That's it.
Now I wonder. Now I already thought about when this season is over. Like depending because it's going to be going for a while. I already thought of a thing when you said they get close. I mean, we could do the debate. Who technically was the closest to All Might? Now, you Stars and Stripes, Midoriya, or Lemillion? Because there's been statements by everyone.
Ooh.
Because they're
Ooh,
saying that as Cassie
okay.
is an adult, they were saying that about Lemillion that he's the closest. Well, he's still in high school,
Yep.
and then Midoriya got this. He got lucky that he bumped into him because that's the that's the one.
Yep.
Shit. That's a tough one.
Could you imagine if All Might would have given Star and Stripe his quirk?
Oh my god.
I don't think. See, I think the
He
thing.
wouldn't have because she's the hero in America and he needs the quirk to stay in Japan. Like I understand that, but like
Yeah.
Would he have really given a shit about that though? Because he's the guy who would zoom across the world to go help people.
true, but he knows that All for One primarily stays for in Japan, headquarters in Japan. He's trying to take over Japan before the world, so keep it in the backyard first.
But he did.
I feel
but,
like he got some spies across the world. That's
oh,
just
bro, yeah.
me.
Because how do you he knew about he knows about everyone's stuff
About
and
New
all.
Order, yeah.
He talked about
Mhm.
in the thing he has people everywhere, and I guess with the All
Yeah.
Might thing, I mean, when he had one for all the dudes spent, he basically spent like 18 to 30 in America.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that long? I don't
I
know
would
why
have
I was thinking it was like more of a like 5-6 years. 5 and 6 years is so a long time, but like I was thinking it was a shorter stint.
I'm just basing off you spend your college time at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure he was there when Melissa was born, potentially, because
Mm-hmm.
Melissa's 18 and he knows of Melissa, and she was calling him Uncle All Might. You don't call
Mhm.
someone uncle if you've never been there when they were a fucking baby.
True.
So
Yeah, debatable, but
that type of the way she was talking to him, and she knew the secret. Yeah, I think he had to been around for a little bit.
I'm googling it. Well, the first thing that pops up is Reddit, so I'm not gonna go up that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see some fan art you don't want to see at this point in the time.
Yeah,
Get
no
some
thanks.
spoilers.
But while Andrea's looking at that, so yeah, they were basically split up into two parts of the episode. So now season 3, episode 3 and episode 4. We have been waiting for 7 years since the first season where they talked about who's the traitor. Who's the traitor? Brought it back a little bit, came back. It was like little bits and pieces there. after 7 years for the anime watchers, we know who the traitor is now. And
Woo! Yep.
well, and we talked about him too, Mr. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star over there. Naval Laser, Yuga, um, was a traitor. It was kind of crazy because everyone was training, and Toru
Mhm.
was, Invisible Girl was spying on Yuga. And
They
his,
really let it up to make it seem like it was going to be her spot in the intro.
Mhm.
And then when All Might's talking about that he has, people everywhere, and it cuts to her invisible body outline and just her
Mhm.
gloves. At that moment, I was like, "Oh fuck, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way."
But
And I
no,
was right that it wasn't her, but
she's the one who
damn,
found out. But I
yep,
always felt like it was a student. Like it just,
it had to be.
yeah. But it's one in class 1A, and it's Yuga, and he was there with the parents. You find out he didn't have a quirk. His parents were, affluent, rich people, and they don't want their
Mhm.
child to be ridiculed or whatnot. So they made a deal with the devil, literally. And
Mhm.
here we are. My biggest thing when this whole thing was happening, they showed so many clips that if you paid attention 7 years ago, you were like, "Holy shit!"
Yep,
He wasn't at when the raid happened. He was hiding behind this thing
the
when
boulder.
Mhm.
the
Yep,
forest stuff happened when they got Bakugo. He
yep.
didn't say a word to Midoriya. Like when all the students,
Right when they were all
Mhm.
recruiting him back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
When
know.
they were laying out all those things, I'm like, holy shit, they have done this so masterfully. And it was right before our eyes the whole. And then when you
Time.
watch those clips back, you're like, oh my god, he's actually nowhere to be found. And he doesn't say
Mhm.
Mhm.
anything to Midori. He's just standing there. He barely
Yep.
helps. That's crazy how they laid that out. Like it's been underneath our nose for 7 years.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest clues to me where it was like, it could be him, maybe not, and even because everybody's, quirks has drawback,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
for Ayama to have such a massive problem with his, just like Midoriya did, and for him to draw that parallel, it should have been more of a giveaway. I feel like, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe other people just generally have it worse, and most of the class 1A kids just don't. But
Mhm.
it was kind of a giveaway in the sense of your body never was supposed to have a quirk and now it does. And
He's like, yeah, tell me when Midori's going to be alone. Tell me when the X
Yeah.
amount of people are going to be gone. And you're just seeing him. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like,
yep.
what? Go ahead, Byron.
What when I started like getting a twinkle, not twinkling, but twinkling that he might be the traitor is when I forget what season it was when he was outside of Deku's window and put like the note that says "I know." I'm like,
Hmm.
that's a strange thing to say. Like, do
Hmm.
you know that his power is from All Might? Then how they explain it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But now looking back on it, I was like, oh shit, he really did know.
It's been him the
Yeah.
whole time. The
Yeah.
whole effing time. Everything that's bad has happened to that group is because of him.
Yep.
Mhm.
It is unbelievable. You know what's funny too? When he said because I did, I mean, spies being invisible. I did have an inkling that could have been Tor. I almost literally, because I'm like, who would be the best spy? Uh, Little Miss Headphone Girl.
Oh,
Right.
earphone jack.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
about, I'm like, the amount of conversations you don't know that she could have listened to,
Mm.
Hmm.
like, but no, when they unveiled them, and then like the parents, and yeah, they get arrested, I, and then the next episode going on what we should do. I'm just gonna ask if you guys were in the class, would you guys forgive them?
This is how I know I'm not built to have an anime is because well, actually I should be the main character that gets powers just to get revenge because I'm petty and vengeful. Like, I mean, because beyond so many people almost got killed. So many people got severely hurt.
Hmm.
Aizawa almost died during the USJ incident. Like,
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
rewatching
they
that
put him on a
season,
fucking stretcher. That Nobu was beating his ass.
right? And it was just like, oh my god, like they were so close to death, so many times. And Midoriya almost, again, plot armor, but essentially almost fucked up his body to the point he couldn't keep fighting anymore because of these incidents.
Yeah, Muscular almost killed his ass.
Yeah. Like, I'm honestly still surprised after that fight he could use his arms anymore. Like, completely. And, like, I understand the sentiments. Like, I really do. But at the same time, like, for me, I feel like it was low-key a little bit too unrealistic for nobody to be, like, actually upset.
Besides the adults.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Bakugo was like, "Hey, you almost got me killed, so I think it's right I should get some licks in." And I was like, "You know what?"
See,
For
Bakugo's
sure.
original.
For sure. And then what's his face? Sarah was like, "Well," and it's like, no, Sarah. Like, I know Bakugo's low key joking a little bit, maybe, but no, he had a lot of emotional anguish because it's not something he wanted to do. He admitted, like, these are my friends, and I almost got them killed, and I'm, wrestling with that guilt. I lived among you. The whole, like, what's that called? Double agent, like, moral confliction stuff. But and it is, because it's to the point where it's not like he elected to do this. It's not like he was like, "Hey, I want to kill some kids. I want to help the biggest bad guy in the world, win. Let me just hop on this train." It was at, gunpoint to his head, to his family's head. So, like, you have that sympathy there, but at the same time, like, somebody should have been a little upset, like, obviously upset, for at least a little bit.
I don't know if I would have been able to forgive him in that moment. I would be thinking about all the times that this motherfucker almost got me killed. But then maybe looking at, like, it wasn't his choice to get a quirk. It wasn't his choice to sell his soul to the biggest villain in Japan, all for one.
World.
Then maybe, or world, yeah. Then I probably would eventually forgive him, but in that moment, like, nah, bro, we gotta throw hands.
I just think, like, when I'm sitting here, and if you start going through, like, all the real emotions, like a real person, you just hear, like, this person you thought was in the foxhole with you. We have been fighting together. Like we just talked about, Midoriya's grown 2 ages since the start of the show. So we've been fighting together for 2 years.
Yep.
Like season 1, we fought together. Season 3, we're fighting. Well, we were fighting for our lives in the thing. You were just hiding behind a bush because you knew they wouldn't attack you. Like season 4, Midoriya and Red Rock, they were fighting for their lives, and 6, and like all this. And then and you're like a big reason for that. And then you have the irrational thing. I was like, Midnight's dead, and I don't care if it's because of the war. Our teacher's dead.
Yep.
And there's thousands of other people dead. Like, we don't know how many of those kids or whatever got killed off screen in like the raid or whatever debris fell on, or permanently got hurt to leave UA and all of that. And it's just like, I can't, because Andrea, I'm gonna throw this to you because I actually asked Byron this Monday. What if this is part of the plan? Like
Right.
fear. Like, what if All For One knew he was going to flake? Like, what if this is all part of the thing and he still turns on him?
Right.
You can't take that risk because this is the final week. People are dying. Like, there's gonna be characters who get smoked, and he might be the reason for it. I'll also throw this to you, Andrew, because he's in there, and I asked Byron this because we brought this girl up because I feel like she's going to be a major factor too. What if he's the one who kidnaps Eri and takes her to All For One to get the quirk destroying bullets?
Oh.
One of the most powerful people on the planet is that 6-year-old girl, and there's a kid there and All For One's lackey has direct access to her.
He has to know about her then. He probably already knows. Yeah. Then
they're coming for her ass. They're gonna hit her with the Nezuko. They're gonna come for her ass.
So
All
for
Might,
me,
the ability to destroy quirks. Hey, come on now. All For One with the ability,
erase and essentially rewind any damage you've taken. He won't need his fancy life support shit anymore.
He's gonna
and then he
rewind
could have
himself to his
2
prime.
perfect bodies between his normal self and whatever it
He's
turns
gonna rewind
into.
himself to his prime. I'm just telling you, bro. Like, you just can't trust the dude because you don't know if like this is part of the plan.
Well, but that's the other thing that he was going on and on about is the fact that he's got 5 million plans for one goddamn goal. Like, bruh, I'm sitting here trying to think about it. Like, would you not get upset of all the energy it took to maintain all these other options and then they just don't work out? No, because he's not a normal fucking human being with emotion, so he's not going to give 2 fucks.
Oh, because he has plans on top of plans on top of plans.
Oh yeah,
he literally said
evil ass
the difference
Batman.
between me and you, Toya, is that I got plans. Like when one plan fails, that's okay. We'll just go to this plan. Like it all goes to my end goal. So whatever happens, it's all on me.
Evil Batman, bro. Evil Batman.
A to B. Oh my god.
It's
that physically like made me so angry. Just like seeing that map out, because like, you know, maybe I'm just too simple, and I've never really considered myself to be simple in my thought process. But like, if you're talking about, I have multiple routes to a goal. I have plan A, I have plan B, I have plan C, and in my head, it'd be from, you know, all 3 of those would be generally straight lines from where I'm at to the goal. But his fucking visual is that like tree branches and roots and branching off of those plants. I'm just, I can't fathom trying to keep track of all of that and all the different no way. And that's part of where you're right, Martin, in the sense that he probably has foreseen, you know, him and his parents getting found out, him potentially like switching side, and has a countermeasure for it. It's not the same as when Lady Nagant got captured, because that's what they had to check him for, was that he wasn't going to just spontaneously blow the fuck up. But I mean, yeah, he's probably dude thinks of everything. Like,
you know, that's why I couldn't trust. And I laughed how like Azal was like, I'm not going to expel you, and I was like, you know, back in my day, the teacher didn't make that final decision. The principal did. So I don't know how you do it in Japan. Just saying, if that principal, because buddy, your counter adults were just like, and they're talking about we're going to use him to get to how.
Yeah, right. I loved when Aizawa asked Midori, like, hey, do you actually have a plan on how to do this? And Midori is like, well, actually.
And Aizawa was like, don't worry, I got a plan.
I was like, okay, brother. Last time and bad thing with Aizawa, I was like, I'm sorry, bro. You've been power crap. You can't be out on those fields like this ain't for you no more. Like, these people are way past your power level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Liability at this point.
Which is crazy, calling a racer. But after 6, bro, you almost got put in the dirt. If Midnight didn't die that season, you were going to die. If Shield didn't sacrifice himself for you, you were going to die.
Dead. Yep.
So it's over. You're not a main battlefield fighter no more.
Yeah. He fought valiantly in season 6, but
they're gonna take his fucking quirk too. Bro, like All For One.
Oh my! no, All For One cannot get.
Bro, like he said, bro, he got plans on plans. When they raid that fucking school that's floating in the sky for Eri, you think, okay.
Well, and that's the other part of it is like, okay, Aizawa, because Shigaraki, I'm sure, is able to use is it Ragdoll's powers?
Which is bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit.
That he can find Aizawa with that because she saw Aizawa at the same time she saw Midoriya. Like, pinpoint accuracy, knows where the fuck he is. They don't have the number 1, 2, 3, even probably 4 hero to guard him. He's just chilling at the hospital or wherever the fuck he's at. Probably by himself or with a normal goddamn police officer.
Just think about it this way. All For One brain. He knows Yuga was gonna get caught. He knows he was gonna be like, they're gonna use him to try and get, because they were talking about like, you know, All For One's always had to jump on us, blah blah blah. We're all gonna go jump him. Everyone on that place, the top UA, all of UA is gonna go there, like the strongest people there, all that stuff. They're gonna go fight. And then they're gonna come, they're like, oh, Dobby's gonna be like, this was your plan for them. Because he's like, no. Because the real prize is on that fucking UA thing, and she's unprotected right now. And then they take Eri.
Hopefully they would leave someone with.
Who? They have to send their strongest people to go kill Shigaraki. If you're strong, you gotta go die. You gotta go fight.
Okay, maybe that's where Shinsho and Monoma are, that they're chilling, protecting her. Because they're in the intro, and when I saw them in the goddamn intro, I yelled.
And Shinsho was at the end of the episode.
Yeah, he was in the preview for
the next one. Is Shinsho, but bro, I'm sorry. It's so bad. If like Shinsho ain't fighting no High-End fucking Nomu, man.
Yeah, I don't know how Shinso works in this equation of stopping.
Hopefully he's been training
Shigaraki.
He's
like his voice thing, like cool, but like, what can you really do with that in a fight?
Oh, when you get punched in the face,
right? That's why I was trying to use Eraser's little scarf thing.
Andrea, how pissed were you when Najiri, who got that haircut after fighting for her fucking life in season 6, how like her group in fact, how they were fighting and they had the fucking nerve to be like, oh, we're gonna take you to that other school. I'm sitting there like, where the fuck's that school been? And we're mentioning it now.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Like,
they're like, oh yeah, their fortress is just as strong as UA. Okay, brother.
Also, aren't they supposed to? Okay, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this school is not in the same city. Isn't this school supposed to be like on the western part of Japan?
Yeah, it's supposed to be far away. Like,
right. So it's like, are these heroes
rivals
far away from UA and Shiketsu's closer?
How are you far away if you can fly?
I don't know. Ask Endeavor.
Yeah.
Shit.
On a side note, too, going back, because this is like very serious stuff with the traitor, so we're going to keep talking more about it. I did laugh when, like, at the beginning of the episode, season 3, where Shigaraki was basically on the ground saying, oh, my tummy. Like, he was just there going, like, he was just there going, everyone was staring at him. And then, like, we already talked about the All for One, talking about the plans and all that. But no disrespect to, I do fuck with the police force, because that police officer has been through hell, bro. You see how long this show's been going by the way he looked baby-faced, and now he's all grizzled.
And got the dark circles under his eyes.
Oh, bro, he's so fucking tired. He hasn't had a break since that damn sludge stole Bakugo in the first episode. Like, he is so tired. But that plan is absolute ass. It is ass.
Oh, yeah.
On top of ass. So, like, we're going to separate these. The only way
we're going to keep these, we're going to keep, what was it, 10 meters? Is it like a 10 meters?
How is 10 meters that effective?
Right.
They can see each other.
What the fuck? Right. And it's like, so obviously, and here's the other part of it. Again, he thinks of everything. So he knows you're going to try to play keep away. So he's going to counter the keep away by trying to force the close. I know you can't just like not strategize, but like that's too simple a goddamn plan to execute and to like actually be a solid plan.
So like when they were naming the people, go ahead, Byron.
They said, oh yeah, the reason why it's going to work is because we're going to have Toya in the middle, fighting Endeavor and Hilda. I'm like, okay, that still doesn't make sense.
Nope.
Yeah, because they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna. It's basically final battle of who you hate. We're gonna use the. We know you hate Shoto and Endeavor. That's where Toya Dabi's gonna go.
Let's push our firebenders all the way over there.
We know Toga hates you, so we're gonna put you over there. Like, nah, bro, that shit ain't going. No. And that still doesn't answer my question. Okay, so who's fighting these high-end Nomus?
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck is Lemillion at?
He's gonna roll up. He's gonna roll up. You know he is.
Oh, I absolutely know he is.
Yeah, because he wasn't in the training montage.
They don't train with those bums. He ain't training with those bums.
No. I mean, he can still kick all
you were training with Nejire and I can't think of the other guy's name.
Nah, bro, we're cool.
Amajiki, yeah.
Well, they're out in the field helping people, so honestly, he might be, training on his own.
Or on
but that's my guess is that he's with Eri.
Eri are training on his own because he's pulling up. When the shit when he's pulling up, trust and believe. Like he's gonna come in hot, but yeah, because I do like how they don't show you stuff for reasons. Like there's 2 out of the 3 big 3 members were shown, but the biggest one, Songzu in the school wasn't there. It was like, Then you just show Shinsho at the preview. Okay, you have it like Andrea said, Shinsho in the opening and Monoma. So it's like, all right, they're gonna have something to say about this stuff. But those high-end, those are some strong motherfuckers, man. Because like until Lemillion,
one of them's already down because Shigaraki,
sacrificed it.
Yep.
Yeah. There was
But,
like
like,
6 left.
if Blue
Yes,
Genius and
5 or
Lamilla
6.
didn't show up last, they would have lost then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then also too, with the
Maybe Class
Genius,
1B altogether can take down one Nomu by themselves.
someone,
Maybe.
I think Kendo would die. She'd take the hit.
She
She
would
would.
sacrifice. I could see her sacrificing herself for her class.
For
And
sure.
then Byron's pick from the anime draft, if you haven't listened to that, it is already out on YouTube. It'll be out vocally, audio wise, in the next couple of days. Mei Hatsume.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, good support character.
I knew this scene was coming because I remember when it came out in the manga, it was trending all over. The reenactment of the Midoriya scene,
Yeah.
and it's been a couple years, so Mei has also grown. So
Mhm.
I know a lot of people talked about that, and then him and Ida, like Midoriya's like, oh, and someone also said this is the last like lighthearted shit we're about to get these next
Yeah.
like this, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh, danger sense didn't activate, and then Ito's like, it's
Their
breast.
boobs.
why would
Right.
danger sense?
Why would- right.
But it's the fact too, like at first she was acting like she didn't know what was going on, but then you see how hard they're working on like the barrier, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my god, someone is about to bust in that shit and kill half those fuckers, man. That was my first thought. Like, I'm like, you could probably told All For One where the barriers team is at, like.
Probably.
Yeah.
But then you see her like talk serious, and the fact too that like she's typing with one hand, was able to make whole gauntlets quick like that, whole armor, like
And Ida's armor, yeah.
like with one hand. And then she told him, like, let's win this. I was like, see, that's the type of stuff someone who's about to die says. Don't say that stuff.
Don't say that to us, Hatsume.
I told Andrea
Too special.
after episode 2, the strongest woman in My Hero history died in the second episode. There is no one off limits besides Midoriya, if that.
Honestly, I could very well see though. I could very well see Midoriya having to make the sacrifice.
You're on board. Yep, you're starting to come around. I've been saying it for years.
He would make the sacrifice to protect everyone else, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, giving up his quirk is not the same as giving up his life. But I mean, he was on that both veins in the second. You haven't seen the second movie. Fuck. I just spoiled the second movie for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
You really need to see the second movie. It's my second favorite anime movie ever. Behind Mugen Train, obviously.
Mugen Train. Yes.
Man, no, because once she died in episode 2, I was like, yep, no one's off limits. No one is off limits.
Like, yeah. I also wish she didn't die, so we could have got the other country's heroes. Because as soon as she died,
that's real life. Good. That's real life. Because they're like, we send you our country's fuck. So nope, that's real life.
They didn't even send her. She said, no, fuck you, I'm going. And she died. So then they're like, see, she went on her own.
Egypt
so like
from
we
the
can't
third
send
movie.
Anybody else.
Yep, because Egypt from the third movie is like, you don't want us to go? Absolutely not. You keep your ass at home. So, but that's real life. Like, hey, your top hero is basically your country's super weapon. So now America just lost their super weapon. So now they're super vulnerable. Now their shit's about to get rampant in the city with crime. So no one else is going. So All For One's going to take over. And he's like, I'm going to just go bust your country anyway. I'm just sitting back. See, I'd be that guy on a swing. Like, damn. At some point, this nuke got to get dropped. So like, I'm not like
these quirk nukes. Just
like at some point, man.
Start over.
Just start over. Like, and I bet All For One has a plan for that too. Like, oh, actually, I reprogrammed the last one, so he's going to go the direction that I shot it at.
He probably does.
And that's just going to land on UA and blow the bitch up. That flying fortress in the fucking sky. That shit is going to come crashing down.
Isn't there a movie like that? Is it? I mean,
there's movies like where the fortress comes crashing down from sky.
Yeah, Castle in the Sky. Doesn't that happen? Or no, it's falling and then it ends up not crashing. But the Avengers movie,
Helicarrier, Sokovia.
Yep.
Just shit crashing from the sky. It's also on a side note. Can Midoriya beat Bakugo in a fight? God damn, he is 0-4 against him. Like stat wise, the man does not want to fight against his rival.
Hey, it's just that like as soon as he gets one, man, it's gonna be the greatest moment ever.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try these new clusters, and then Midoriya's on the ground. I'm like,
with his burnt up, crispy hair.
I'm like, what is happening? But these first four, man, they started with a bang.
For sure.
And then we get the
They
next.
started with a bang, a death, and the traitor revealed.
And the first four.
Yep.
Man, I'm so excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I know.
Like 16, like episode 5, called Let You Down. There's 16 episodes to go.
Oh, man.
Lord and Behold 2. The movie is coming out in Japan in 2 months. The fourth movie. Where they got to fight fake Dark All Might. Don't know who the hell this person is yet, but we'll see how it ties in.
Do we know what his name is? Is it like No Might or something like that?
I don't know.
Anti-Might.
Yeah, it's like Anti-Might.
Let's see.
But yeah, their movie's coming out in 2 months in Japan. Which you're having a movie come out while your season is active? Man, that's... And again, people say the fandom makes it think people think My Hero sucks, but if you're doing that type of business,
we show up, we pay out. We do.
On the My Hero wiki, it just says Dark Might.
Dark Might, yep.
Okay. Well, anything else on this season so far?
No, with that, I'm just excited.
I'm glad we're only in the first 4 episodes. I'm glad they came out swinging. I didn't expect most any of it, and that's a really cool feeling. Other than the intro with Shinjo and Monoma being on there, it's like, yes, finally, vindication. They're important.
Where do you think Yuga's parents were trying to run to? Like, where were you trying to go?
Right?
Anywhere but there, shit.
Right, but it's like, are you really gonna outrun one of the top heroes in the class?
Do you think they know about like Black Whip and all that?
Don't matter,
They
brother.
saw him at least in the sports festival. So,
that's true, yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're not totally unaware, especially since All Might's like, I'm sorry, All for One's giving them like instructions about like, let me know when Midoriya is, like they know he's that guy. So,
but like, still, like, where were you trying to, like, you thought you were just gonna like float, like walk through the My Hero like entrance, like the school, and just like casually walk out, or like?
Oh, true, right? Because they're all floating around.
Like, that's what I'm wondering. Like, where were you gonna go?
And it's either fight or flight, and I know they were not fighting him.
Definitely not. But we also don't know what their quirks are. Maybe one of them can levitate or is packing for wings or something. We don't know.
He shot that laser. He shot that laser though.
He did, and that's one of my questions is because obviously Midoriya's danger sense went off, so he was aiming at him. It wasn't like a. So for me, like my thing was like maybe he was trying to do like a warning shot, like stay away, like don't come after me. But for danger sense to go off means that was locked on. So Toru jumping in front of it is not the only thing that saved Midoriya. I'm sure Midoriya would have survived the naval laser blast, but you know, gives her a part, lets us see like a new facet of her quirk.
It took her 7 seasons to have her greatest moment.
Yep, and to have her face revealed. So yeah, that was one of the things for me because he was already, you know, explaining and going through like, you know, I didn't really have a choice, like I felt terrible and all of this other stuff, and then he still shoots straight at Midoriya. Like that was the thing for me. Again, I thought it was going to be a warning shot, but then when danger sense went off, it was like, wait, what?
I feel like it was just one of those things. Like it's either him or me, and then me or my parents, and this choice, you know, I gotta protect my
but the whole thing for me is like if he's gonna have the redemption, if he's gonna have that redemption, he would have chosen Midoriya. That he was, you know, maybe supposed to shoot off the laser to indicate, hey, Midoriya is here, but then he chooses like he powers it up and then he chooses not to. Like have a moment like that where it's like, okay, we're seeing him make even in this moment like a decision in Midoriya's favor or something. I don't know.
Agree.
Yeah. Also, his parents are hoes.
Yeah, for real. Like I'm
yes,
sorry.
your son is quirkless. It's okay. There's like 10% of the population is quirkless.
Y'all could have turned him into Batman. You had the money, just buy all the fucking shit. Like what?
My thing.
No, we're gonna make a deal with the devil.
But my thing though, as a
We
like,
heard about this guy giving out quirks. Is like, bitch, he don't do that for free. Also,
but I think
come
Midoriya's
on.
mom would have done the same thing though.
If
Like
she
she
had
saw
money,
how
maybe.
broken Midoriya was when he didn't have a quirk. If that's why I kind of like the parallel. If the situation was reversed, Midoriya's mom
Yeah.
would have did the same thing. She saw her son was broken during
Yeah.
those interviews, like those doctor's
Yeah.
appointments. She would have done the same thing. I really believe it. English dub of season 7 is going on too. Like there's no waiting for anything. There, everyone's going. Everyone's.
Yep.
I actually want to watch them in English.
I just watched the first 2 episodes in English, and honestly, for certain reasons, I enjoyed them more in English. I think the word choices, the cadences, the tone between, like in the American military, it felt more familiar. I also honestly preferred Star and Stripes English voice actor.
Okay.
But I highly recommend. Yeah.
We'll be back next 4. So that's gonna be 5, 6, 7, 8. Talking about, by then there's gonna be some fights going again. Maybe another death. We don't know. I mean, episode 5 is called "Let You Down." Who we talking about?
I feel like that has to do with.
But it's got to be
Yuga's choice.
It's got to be a Shincho show though episode because he was shown. Sure. But we'll see. But with that being said, go watch My Hero Academia season 7. It's not disappointing, and we'll be back in the next episode. So you guys take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.